Let me ask you a question. What if a single bad decision from just one employee could put your entire company on the line? Well, in Malaysia, that's not just a scary thought. It's the new reality, all thanks to a law that has totally changed the game for corporate liability. If you're in business, you absolutely need to know about this. So let's break it down.
So picture this. A sales agent way down the chain in your company pays a little something extra, a bribe, to win a big contract. For years, the usual thinking was, hey, that's on them, not the company. Well, think again. Under this new law, your entire organization could now be found guilty because of that one person's action.
And that's really the heart of it. For decades, it was incredibly hard for prosecutors to make corruption charges stick to a company. There was this huge loophole they could slip through. But that loophole has now been slammed shut. And believe me, the consequences are massive. Okay, so to really get why this change is such a big deal, we need to take a quick look back at how things used to be. For a very long time, the legal system had this blind spot that made it next to impossible to hold a corporation itself accountable for corruption.
See, in the past, prosecutors had this massive hill to climb. They had to prove something called the directing mind. That meant they needed a smoking gun, an email, a memo, something that showed the CEO or the board directly knew about or ordered the bribe. As you can imagine, that was an almost impossible standard to meet. It gave companies the perfect out. Just blame a single rogue employee and wash their hands of it.
But then everything changed. Enter the game changer, Section 17A of the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission Act. And this wasn't just some small update. It was a total overhaul of how Malaysia tackles corporate corruption. It basically puts the country's laws on par with some of the strictest in the entire world. And this right here is the core of it. The focus is no longer on the directing mind. Now it's all about any person associated with the company. If they pay a bribe to help the business in any way, the law now says the organization itself is guilty. It's direct, it's automatic, there's no hiding. And don't just think gratification means an envelope full of cash. Oh no. The law's definition is unbelievably broad. It could be a fancy gift, a loan, promising a job to someone's relative. Heck, it could be almost any favor that gives your company an edge. The net they're casting here is very, very wide. So if the law is this broad, the big question has to be, who exactly is on the hook? Well, the answer might surprise you. It's probably wider than you think.
The scope here is just huge. It covers all kinds of companies and partnerships, whether they're Malaysian or foreign. The test is actually really simple. Are you doing business in Malaysia? If the answer is yes, this law applies to you. It doesn't matter one bit where your headquarters are.
And this is where it gets personal for anyone in a leadership role. Just watch how the liability flows. It starts at the bottom with an associated person. Could be an employee, a contractor, an agent. If they pay a bribe, boom, step 2. The company is automatically guilty. But it doesn't stop there. The law then goes up to the very top, and it deems the directors and senior managers to be personally guilty of that exact same crime. The blame flows all the way up. I mean, this is a complete 180 on how the law usually works. It's no longer the prosecutor's job to prove that the leadership was involved. Instead, the law presumes they're guilty. The burden is now on the directors and the company to prove they did everything they reasonably could to stop the corruption from ever happening. It's guilty until you can prove yourself innocent. So that leads us to the one and only lifeline. If a company finds itself charged under this tough new law, there is a way out. But it's not easy, and it demands a lot of proactive work. You can't just plead ignorance. You can't just blame that rogue employee anymore. The law is crystal clear. There is only one single statutory defense available. That's it. And that defense is proving that you had adequate procedures in place to prevent corruption. Now, this isn't just about having some anti-bribery policy collecting dust in a filing cabinet. No way. This has to be a living, breathing system. It means real commitment from the very top, regular risk assessments to see where you're vulnerable, clear controls, and constant training. The company literally has to prove it did everything it reasonably could. Now, you might be thinking this is all just theory. It's not. This law has real teeth, and it has already bitten. In fact, the very first case to go through the courts is a huge warning sign for every single business out there. So here's what happened. In this landmark case, a director of a shipping company offered a bribe to get a subcontract. But the authorities didn't just charge the director. They went after the whole company using Section 17A. And faced with how strict the law is, the company pretty much had no choice but to plead guilty. And the penalty? It was severe. A fine of nearly 1 million ringgit. This was no slap on the wrist. It was the court sending a very loud and very clear message about the serious financial hit your company will take if you don't have those adequate procedures in place. So this first conviction really set the tone. It told the entire business community, loud and clear, that the game has officially changed. You can't turn a blind eye anymore. You can't claim you didn't know. The responsibility to stop corruption is now sitting squarely on the shoulders of the company and its leaders.
Which brings us to the most important takeaway from all of this. What Section 17A really means is that having a strong, active, and genuine anti-corruption system isn't just a nice-to-have or a best practice anymore. It is a fundamental, non-negotiable requirement for doing business in Malaysia. It's about survival.
So I'll leave you with this. The final question isn't just, do you have anti-corruption policies? Everyone has those. The real question is, if a prosecutor was digging through your company's records, could you actually prove that those policies are truly adequate? Because that is the new multi-million ringgit question every single business leader in Malaysia has to be able to answer.